Hello, this is Holly Beatty, the Joyful Warrior, and you're joining me for day 15 of the Shaman in You sneak peek. The Shaman in You is a program that I've put together with help of the spirits that guide me to help backtrack and unpack how it is exactly that I became a shaman in just an instant. It was nearly 20 years ago that I was having an afternoon nap when a elder, a Native American spirit, came to me and blew my heart chakra wide open, allowing me to perceive all of reality that we can and cannot see. Now, this happened for me in just a few moments of timelessness in the dream time. And then when I woke, my entire life was different. It was as if my body had been turned into something quite unique. And at the time, I really didn't understand what was happening. All I knew is that I could hear music that nobody else could hear. And that music actually wasn't even music, but rather a constant vibrational song that would change depending on who I was with and where I was near. And eventually I realized that all of life was speaking to me through this vibrational touch that felt like song and music inside my body. Eventually, that would rise to the level of vision, and with clarity, words and emotional pictures, so that I could receive the communication that was coming from everything around me and eventually learn how to communicate back clearly. And so it is that I have been working as a shaman, primarily helping people's souls come back into their bodies, speaking to their souls with my soul, and wooing the soul back into the body, but also praying for the earth and helping the earth change its frequency in places where it has been receiving pain through human activity, and bridging heaven's frequency of pure love into the physical realm where we're all learning how to embody this beautiful, loving energy a little bit at a time through our lessons and the journey that we're all on and that we each are having at our own time and pace in a way that we can respond to with gentle nudging from our souls communicating. So today we are exploring the fourth day of the death arrow process. Now, today is the day where we want to do a lot of writing. It's where journaling wants to happen the most. So the first, second, and third day, we just had a prompt, a question to sleep on. The first question was, what are we ready to let go of? What have we earned the right to release? And yesterday we went through the process of looking at the last year in different iterations and seeing what were the challenges that we had to overcome. Where maybe we had some soul loss happen. And so through all of that reflecting with the questions that we've been pondering and sleeping with each evening in the first 3 nights, now it's time to see what wants to stick. So it's time to get a pen and paper, or maybe even some crayons, and to begin to move the energy of the feeling of what we've pondered onto paper in a rough draft brainstorm stream of consciousness way. And then we need to add an ingredient to the process. So when you have some time after watching the video, just allow yourself to float and journal stream of consciousness, anything that feels like it wants to stick. But please add this special ingredient. It's called forgiveness. in order to be able to transform something that we have been visiting over and over and over again, is sort of like, I haven't learned that lesson yet. I guess I haven't learned that lesson yet. Well, I guess I haven't learned that lesson yet. So it's like a repetitive, active mantra inside of ourselves that shows up in our life, right? Some sort of shadow aspect of our unconsciousness, or something that we're quite aware of that we are ready to release, but we just haven't found out how to. So in this process, we need to ask ourselves, where is it that we need to forgive ourselves? Let me provide an example. So earlier in the death arrow process, I mentioned a story about how I had an unconscious belief system that I wasn't deserving of love or a home or anything, because I unconsciously made that uh, judgment about myself when I left my husband, and then went into a place of feeling actually wonderful, but feeling really guilty at the same time of the fallout of that choice and what it, gave my children as an experience. In the moment, I felt badly. I didn't mean to feel badly forever, but because that thought got locked in and then it went into my unconscious driver, I wasn't able to release it until years later I could see it when I was standing in a new kitchen that I felt was beautiful, that I wanted to make wonderful things in. And I realized that I wouldn't be able to do that because I wasn't going to be able to stay there that long. And I said that out loud, I was feeling like, oh, this is so beautiful, and I already am going to miss it. And then my daughter asked me why. And I said, oh, well, because I don't deserve love. I don't deserve home. I don't deserve anything. And I heard it, and I was so taken back. And it dissipated just in that moment of recognition. It was ready to be seen. But another ingredient had to happen when that occurred for me. I had to forgive myself, right? Enough that that experience that I had when my children were younger and I was younger, and maybe perhaps a bit more naive. And also, maybe I needed some time to see how I could shine, how I could overcome the challenging circumstance of being a single mother, and seeing how I was able to give my children so much magic and wonderfulness and perspective and travel as a result of being who I am and choosing the path that I had up to that point. So I was able to see just how much magic and miracle and meaning would be brought into my children's life as a result of that happening. And through that, I was able to reframe everything. Of course, that happened in just a moment. Sometimes when we're writing what it is that we need to release, what we've earned the right to release, we have to take a little bit more time. Now, I'd like to also share that the reason I feel that this practice is so unique is because it's about seeing beauty. It's about seeing beauty in ourselves and raising that beauty up to our higher self and to life that's always listening, to show that we actually have not just like overcome something and we're ready to let it go because we're choosing to, because we see it and we want to, but because something beautiful has come from the journey. It really locks it in. It's also why instead of making arrows that get burned somehow, I like using roses, flowers, to give a tribute, an outward focus for an inward experience that has brought something into bloom inside of our being. So just let's talk about that for a moment. We're not trying to get rid of what's ugly or what we don't like about ourselves, which might happen in a traditional like resolution process. We're actually wanting to see what has come through a fruit. So let's give another example. In that earlier discussion that I was having about the kitchen, what I was doing in that moment was I was cleaning. I had the music on loud and I was scrubbing everything and I was finding a place for plants and all the little things. And there was something in me that wanted to ground. There was something in me that was ready to ground. So, what I was releasing is the need to go in search of something. That's really what I was ready to let go of. But I had to work with and understand that the driver, the feeling that I wasn't deserving of having love or home or anything, was also something that I was holding on to inside because I had a second gain. I had something that was coming from it that was serving me. And that was this courage to go. I needed the courage to go, to leave the situation I had. And I kept feeling that courage to go. I like adventure. It's true. And I'm very growth oriented. That's true. But there's something about me in a way of healing that really needed to ground and to relax and feel at home. Not just in my body and not just in a place, but fully in my circumstance, fully arriving with gladness and feeling ready for love and ready for home and ready for everything that wanted to come my way. So, through that feeling of groundedness, then I was able to put beauty into the place that I lived and to find community and to hold community and to teach and to receive. And so there was a great deal of forgiveness and transformation and beauty that came from that cycle of learning, learning how I am so deserving of love and home and everything. But beyond that, learning how when I allowed myself to receive, that I didn't have to go. And so I could let go of the need underneath to be able to go if I needed to, that impulse, that driver for that courage feeling. And instead, I could see that I had already done that and that now I could just be. So, in a way, it was a soul retrieval happening. It was another aspect of soul retrieval that was occurring for me through that cycle, through that growth, through that learning. You know, we all learn on each other's time. So during the time that I had been driven to go, or to prove. I also had left other relationships and other homes. And just when I would feel settled, I would get up again. So the courage that at one moment was serving me became a coping strategy that somehow was not letting me feel fully rested. I also want to say that everything happens in divine timing. And that for me at that time, I really needed to find myself in Fairfax magically. So life knows life. It's always knowing what we're needing. I like to call the life that's always listening the lattice of light. It's like this unseen web that also feels all the vibrations that are coming from us with everything we think and feel, especially our emotions. And then it's responding. There's this constant response that life is offering. And when we have layers and layers of desire, we might be aware of a surface desire that we have, but there's something deeper that we're really after. And life is going to unfold for us like that. It's going to keep giving us something new and more of what it is that we're really after, because that driver is coming from our soul and it's allowing us to unfold something greater that we're here to connect with and to realize, to share, to receive, to feel complete in our journey. So today, we're in a middle place with the death arrow process where you're going to want to write some things down. It's going to be a private journaling exploration, a stream of consciousness. And I just want to encourage you to write down whatever is sticking with whatever reflections that you've had. So you don't need to try to get it all down, but just connect with what's sticking. So in the example that I was using before, what really stuck with me was how I was ready to ground and to not be afraid to let myself feel at home and to trust and to open up and to make everything beautiful and to begin to receive new friends, new community, create new programs for people to experience with me. So what was sticking with me was, interestingly enough, not the words, the hypnosis that I needed to let go of, but rather just the feeling of grounding. So for the death arrow, what I was ready to let go of was my fear of feeling at home. Yeah. So it kind of evolves through a process that takes us on a journey of sorts. And this is something to do in your own time today, or, of course, it might take longer. And, if you don't finish the entire process by the solstice, you always have the New Year's to work with. But try your best to just go through a stream of consciousness process today and see what wants to stick. Okay. So this is day 15. We're halfway there of the sneak peek. And please reach out with any questions that you have for me. And let me know how you've been enjoying the process so far. Thank you so much. Until next time.